Hey everybody, how's it going? I am here with my friend Miro, and we are going to talk about sourcing from Pakistan. But before we do that, hi Miro, how's it going?
Every day is a beautiful dream.
I love it. Well, you and I have just been keeping in touch like this whole time. We've been social media friends, and I have so many awesome social media friends in the e-commerce community, and it's so great because you learn something from all of them. And so I mentioned something the other day about, I shared a story, a podcast from my friend Robbie about sourcing from Mexico. And you posted on there that you source from Pakistan. And so I was like, oh, Miro, let's talk about it, on a live, because there's so many people that might think that that's an interesting opportunity. So thank you for being here.
No
uh,
problem. No problem.
do you mind telling everybody a little bit about you and your journey in e-commerce and how we come to be talking today?
Okay, sure. My name is Miro Posvic. I own a supplement brand, and what happened was I had like my background. I used to be a computer guy. I used to have a chain of check cashing stores, so I had a kind of a varied career. Um, so I got into e-commerce originally. Just I found this. Well, let me kind of tell this rambling story. So one of my big passions is natural health and natural wellness, right? And there's this type of natural health called homeopathy, which I thought was really, really cool. And I always had problems finding quality remedies because what happens was the remedies like that you buy in the stores were never really that good. And I had a friend of mine brought some over from India, and they were really good. I'm like, this is the good stuff, right? Like this is the real deal. And I was like looking for the supplier, and one of my friends was a homeopath in Canada, and he's like, I got a supplier from Pakistan that makes these, right? So I sent them a note, and they sent me some samples. That's kind of what started this relationship. So it started off as like a hobby for me, and then kind of morphed into a business, which is doing okay. And then I went deep into online with Amazon and Shopify and Walmart, and it just blew up. So it went from being a hobby to being like some interesting to holy cow, I'm buying food with this stuff. So it's been great.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's so great when a business starts based on something, some necessity in your life, or something that you need, because it becomes like your lifestyle and your way to be able to help other people at the same time. Um, I think it's a really great thing. So how long now have you had your supplement brand?
I've had it for almost 12 years. I got into online with it about 6 years ago when I kind of did the transition from like hobby kind of puttering to really trying to make a go of it. So really full time, about 6 years.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. So, how did you get started sourcing from Pakistan? Like, tell me about that. How did that happen?
Well, it was really interesting because I hadn't done any import export in a long time. Like I did some when I was like in my early 20s, and I'm 50, so it's actually I'm 51 today. Today's my birthday, so all y'all
Oh,
send me a
really?
present. It is
You're here with me on your birthday. Like, I feel
absolutely
that's amazing. Thank
uh,
you.
no
Happy
problem.
birthday.
Thank you. So, what happened was I had found this supplier of these really amazing products, right? And it's so interesting because I had done import export. I had no idea what I was doing, and so I ordered my first shipment over. And it's so funny because here's some you meet somebody over the internet, you send a couple emails back and forth, you have a Skype call, and then you wire them a bunch of money, right? And I don't care who you are, you're thinking I am never seeing this money again, right? And they're like, yeah, we're doing your labels for you. I'm thinking, sure you are, right? And then like, it's still going on the boat. I go, it's not going on the boat. You don't know what to expect. And I got the stuff in, and what happened was like logistically, the level of the packaging, the artwork was very 1970s, right? So one of the things that we did that really blew up our business was just we repackaged the stuff to American standards with, I got like a $10,000 label printer. So we're really like, that's really what turned us around was repackaging the stuff and rebranding it. But the quality of the product itself is just, it's fantastic. Like anything I need, I'll like, hey, give me this. And they're just like, it's an amazing relationship with them. A lot of nuts and bolts and stuff. Like what I find very interesting, and again, I'm bringing in supplements, right? Is the process of importing something isn't as smooth and easy as they make it seem in all the courses. They're like, yeah, you get a customs broker and you just pay them and they handle everything. No, that's not how it is at all. I mean, I'm in supplements, so every time my stuff comes in, I got to go to the FDA. I'm FDA registered, right? I have to get them like a 30-page document, and it's like they inspect the stuff. Um, one year, I had a shipment of.
So you're getting it inspected here in the US then?
What's happening is it's inspected there before it goes out. Then it comes in the U.S. There's a series of paperwork, and the problem is, well, like the FDA, like the customs inspectors, these aren't like you think someone that's inspecting supplements would be like someone that was a lab work or something else. My last FDA inspector used to be a toll booth operator on the highway. Okay, and they made her into an FDA inspector. Like there's just you have to educate everybody along the way, and it's just but it's such a journey. Like everything, say the hard part, sending the money overseas, that's the easy part. Getting the stuff through and everything else is the tricky part.
So how did you find this supply? You said, you found this supplier of really great products, but how did you find suppliers and how do you recommend that other people, if they're looking to source any kind of product from Pakistan, what's the best way to find a supplier?
I found the supplier by just asking people I knew that were in this specific field. Like I was asking other homeopaths, hey, who do you guys use? Who has the best remedies? That kind of stuff. So I got into a little bit of research and word of mouth, and the name of my supplier just they kept coming up. Like these guys are the top guys. They're one of the biggest guys in Asia. They do a great job. Big facility. ISO, like the ISO 9000 registration. That's a good one because that shows they're adhering to international standards, right? And it's funny, when I used to be a computer guy, I used to do ISO audits for people. So I know that it's a big paper chase, but at least it tells you that people can at least do paperwork and follow instructions, right? So that
Yeah, so ISO 9000, so asking for certifications.
right.
And then the other thing is what you said, Miro, that I really love is you said you asked around and you asked other homeopaths, like, hey, who are you using? Where are you getting your remedies? And then this supplier kept coming up, right? The thing is, in ISO 9000, that's a worldwide certification. It's worldwide recognized as a standard, right? So it's a good thing to look for. You should always, for anyone sourcing from anywhere, you should always ask your suppliers what certifications they have. And you should be familiar with the different certifications that are standard in your industry. So that's really, really good. A tip that I have for folks when you're looking for suppliers, something that Miro gave here, is to ask around. But if you're wondering where similar products are made, go to the store, pick up the bottle on the shelf, read the back, see where it's manufactured, where it's distributed, start making calls like this. It was manufactured for Prime My Body LLC in Carrollton, Texas, right? But I bet that I could call these guys and say, hey, where's this product made? Where is it actually? This was manufactured for them, but who was it manufactured by? And a lot of packaging will give you information about where something was manufactured, and by who, right? Sometimes it'll say manufactured by for this company. So don't be afraid to go out there and read labels, right? Because you might find where your supplies were made. So how did you go about, were you not nervous about just reaching out to this random supplier in Pakistan? And how did you go about kind of getting to know them better and vetting your supplier?
Well, what happened is I had made contact with different suppliers of this type, mostly in India. India's got a lot of these kind of guys, right? And the problem I had with the India guys was my experience has just been like, it was very much. I don't see there's an arrogance about how they approach it, with being like, oh, we have the best, we have this, we have that, and it was a lot more about them than it was about me, right? And these guys I have in Pakistan, they're like, hey, Miro, look, what do you need? How can we package this for you? We have 400 formulas. We have access to 3,000 different products. Which product mix do you want to start with? Like it was more about, okay, how can we be successful together? And it's been really interesting because as I've grown my business, they're like, hey, we are okay with you going to like I'm the exclusive agent for North America, but they say, look, anywhere else you want to go in the world, we got your back. You want it shipped, you want it packaged, whatever you need, because we developed a good relationship over the last 12 years. There's a lot of trust there, right? And my volume has gone up too. I mean, I started off with, I place a small order every 2 years, right? There was a
Oh,
small,
wow.
there was a bigger order every year, right? And now I'm ordering like, 15, 20,000 pounds at a time. Like I'm getting pretty much a full container on a pretty regular basis, right?
And that's something that you mentioned is that supplier relationships are really important. And when you found a few suppliers in India, you said that there was kind of an arrogance, and it was like almost like they didn't want to work with you. Like you had to kind of sell yourself to them. And that's how that was for me in the US, because one of my products is made in the US. And it was very hard to get a supplier in the US. You really have to get them on your team, and it's very, because there's only so much room on the factory floor, right?
Right.
But I always tell people that even when you're dealing with China or any supplier anywhere, like those relationships are so important. Someone posted in one of the groups this morning, they said, when should I negotiate an MOQ? Should it be before I get a sample or after? And I said, well, first of all, you don't want to negotiate an MOQ. Like what supplier wants to work with someone that, how little can I order from you, right?
Right.
And it should never be about that. But then the second thing is like, take the time to have a conversation, like reach out before you ask for samples, reach out and have a conversation so that you know that this is a good partner for you, that they're actually going to want to work with you. Because how horrible would it be to get a sample and yeah, it's a great sample, but this is a terrible partner, So I love that you mentioned, like, I reached out to these guys and it just was good vibes from the very beginning. It was a good partnership. Now, as far as other products, like, do you know anything about other products that are made in Pakistan?
I, I know Pakistan has a very strong textile market. I know they do huge business in towels, sheets. I also know that they do a lot of leather goods. They do sporting equipment, soccer balls, that kind of stuff. Like they have a good manufacturing base. Um, One of the things I talk about too is we talk about pricing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when my guys came on, when I first started working with them, their pricing was really low, right? Because like let's be honest, like, any kind of supplement stuff, there's generally room in there, but my pricing is really low, and at the same time, like I'm like I pay attention to stuff. I know that the Pakistani currency has dropped by 30-40% against the US dollar over the last 5 years, right? They have not, I've not asked for a decrease in the price, and they haven't, the guy kind of mentions, he goes, Miro, goes, you're going to squeeze on price. I'm not going to squeeze you guys on price. The price I'm paying for my products is a fair price. I'm getting a top tier product. I get what I want, how I want it. I'm okay paying the price because, to be honest with you, like my material cost is incidental to my packaging and everything else, right? So I'm okay paying the price because it's a fair price and still leaves me a lot of room on the table, right? Like I wrote a rant a few months ago. I put it on Facebook. I don't know if you saw it or not. Basically saying, hey, you know what? Be a good customer. Don't sit there and squeeze the crap out of every single deal where the guy's like, why should we do this? We're not going to make any money on it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's got to go both ways. So you want a good supplier, but you also want to be a good customer.
Yeah, it
You know,
needs to be good for them. I'm
it,
always reminding my suppliers, like, hey, I do need this price. Like, this is my target price. But at the same time, like, I need to make money, but I also want you to make money. I need both of us to be happy in this situation, right? And I need our customers to be happy, right? So how can we work together? Like, let's figure it out. If this price doesn't work for you at this level of this product, is there anything we can do? Like, can we change out a material and still keep the same quality? Let's work together and figure it out, because I agree. It has to be a situation where everybody's making money and because otherwise who's going to want to work for you?
Well,
right?
it's like I had an episode a few weeks ago. I use a small contract warehouse, and it's a small operation. They have like 4 or 5 employees, right? They do my fulfillment for me, and I introduced a new task for them where they're sending some of my inventory to Amazon or Walmart for me. And the guy's like, "Well, we'll just bill you, an hourly rate." Thank you, Tim. Bill you an hourly rate for this, whatever else, right? And I'm like, "You're underbilling me." He goes, "What?" I said, "You are underbilling me for the service." He goes, "Well, you charge me by the hour, but that hourly rate you're charging me, you're not including your overhead, your air conditioning, electricity, and stuff." I said, "You got to charge me more, and let's do it on a per piece basis." And I'm not doing that because, oh, I'm a sweet guy and I'm all kumbaya.
Mhm.
I'm like, I want these guys when I pick up a phone call, they're eager to talk to me. "Hey, Miro, what can we do for you?" Right?
Right. Yeah, you want
Um,
it to be a true partnership.
I do, like, what happened is our operations really grown, and we don't have a forklift. We don't have a warehouse. So we used to get shipments into our parking lot. Okay. They drop off 50 pallets. Then we would unload 50 pallets by hand into our office facility. Then we have to break up all the pallets. It was like a day project where there was like 10 of us out there just killing ourselves, right? So I dumped this job onto my warehouse. And now they receive it because they have a warehouse. They pick it up with a forklift, put it on the shelf. They charged me $200, and it was like it saved me like a day of hell of just having crap scattered everywhere and making a mess
Right.
and
Right.
that kind of stuff. So absolutely build the relationships, be nice, not being nice because, oh, kumbaya, we love everybody, but hey, it's good business.
Yes, exactly. I love that. Partnerships are so important. You want to be there for the long run. So, what about finding these suppliers? So, you mentioned a lot of different great products from Pakistan, textiles, stuff like that. Tori asked, do they have a trade show? Is there a supplier database that you know of? Ali mentioned that I'm guessing, Ali, you may be from Pakistan. That there's a couple of trade shows, but nothing substantial happened lately because of obviously COVID. Nobody's been going to trade shows, and it's really hard to throw off uh, to throw a trade show digitally in some countries. So, do you know of any supplier databases or anything?
My suggestion would be, it sounds kind of goofy, like in the US, the Chamber of Commerce is really just like a sometimes they're even for profit. They're basically just loose organizations of businesses, right? But over there, the trade organizations, they're an important thing. Like they're really like it's a very prestigious thing to be members of these communities. So I would say go after the trade associations in Pakistan and look through their list, and also find out what you can. A favorite comment I have is, "Hey, look, the internet, it's not just for dirty pictures anymore. Okay, you can look up other stuff, right?" Uh, and my suppliers did not have a slick website. But I'm doing the math. Like they've been in business for 50 years. They
Mhm.
had a really good reputation, a lot of distribution. Thinking these guys are not focusing on their web presence; they're focusing on building products. So if you see somebody that's running, like if you look somebody up and their website looks like it was last updated in like '92, don't run away from that, because that tells you that these guys may not be focusing on their web presence, and if they were, maybe they wouldn't need you.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So in this case, one of my little hacks whenever I get messages from people on LinkedIn, hawking their services is I say, send me your website and I'll judge you based on that. And then we'll be in touch if I'm interested. And that usually that gets rid of 90% of them, right? But in this case, I think you're right. Even really good manufacturers that I found in China, they don't necessarily have great websites, and that's okay, because if I can get on the phone with them, get on even a video chat, and have them show me around and have a good relationship and a good conversation, like you said, if they've been in business for 50 years and they're really good at what they do, they're going to be a good partner for you, hopefully. So that's really a great tip, to look up trade organizations. Don't be afraid to Google it. Don't be afraid to pick up the phone and talk to like you did with homeopathic providers, and say, hey, where are you finding this stuff? Really just reach out and get into your industry and find out what's going on. I love that. That is a really great thing. So the other hack that you gave, Miro, which I thought was gold, is you said that your supplier, they shipped you the product, but it was in really terrible packaging that just wasn't good. So I have a couple of questions for you there. I love that you took advantage of repackaging and rebranding the products here to be more appealing to a US customer base, but also that you didn't let that stop you from sourcing. So my question would be, I know in China it's kind of a one-stop shop, right? Like we can go to one supplier and they're gonna have a printing supplier, they're going to have a packaging supplier, and you can kind of get everything done at one factory. Well, that might not be the case in Pakistan, right? They might not have as much in paper or packaging goods. So was there a reason that you didn't go to your supplier in Pakistan and ask them to now do your packaging? Was it just not available to you, or was it just easier to package in the US?
Well, what happens is because the FDA regulations in supplements changes, like it's so dynamic, right? Something I could have said last month, I can't say anymore, right? You got to make certain claims and diseases, certain things you can and can't do. And what we found was we needed that ability to adapt to the market. Like, let me give you an example. We had a product for teething, for babies' teething products, right? And one of our competitors ended up putting a herb in it that was actually harmful to people, right? So the FDA came down like a giant hammer and said, you can't have any more teething products, right? They actually took my teething products out of my shipment and they put it to a landfill, and they had a guy in a hazmat suit on a bulldozer run it over. Okay? Like, this is kind of what we deal with. It's really crazy. And
Oh my gosh.
so that product now is kind of creeping out a little bit, but now they're calling it oral pain. It's the same product, same formulation, but now it's got a different name. So we have to have that ability to really, change our packaging on the fly and what we do. And having that in-house is very good. Like, it's kind of funny because I'm doing the packaging here, we've created a whole white label business, and we're actually a wholesale supplier to other people that want to do supplements, both for humans and animals. And some of our animal people are just crushing it. I got one lady's doing like over $1 million a year in her second year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. So what we did kind of as a starting point to improve our product's appeal and packaging has kind of become a safeguard for the business. We're able to pivot more quickly and just created a whole new business line for us where we're acting as a wholesale supplier. So what you think is kind of a negative at first turns out to be a positive.
Because now you're able to white label your products to others.
Yep.
And you're able to create additional streams of income for your business, which is so cool. And you've essentially become a supplier. So,
exactly.
I mean, that is an incredible opportunity and something for all of us to think about. Think about all the different ways that you can source from many different places, and think about, there's lots of printing capability right here in the US. There's lots of packaging capability. There's no reason, or wherever you're from, there's no reason not to take advantage of that. Now, what about infrastructure? I know, something that I learned about India, is that the infrastructure is nothing like it is in China, right? Where when your products leave the factory in China, you can expect them to get to the nearby port pretty quickly with minimal interruption. Well, in India, they're having to drive quite a way over like dirt roads, and you never know. Something could get broken, something could get, put in. Is it like that in Pakistan as well? It's a very mountainous region. It's maybe the roadways aren't as good. Is that a concern or something that people should be aware of when sourcing from Pakistan?
Actually, the trend has actually been better for me than a lot of people in China, because we haven't had the same kind of, like, when they're doing the added extra tariffs on China, didn't affect me at all. They have this big clog at the West Coast ports right now, where all the ports are shut down, all the boats are sitting in the ocean waiting. Doesn't affect us because we're able to my stuff comes in through New York, comes on the East Coast. It really has been a problem. Something a lot of people don't realize, like, the biggest misconception of Pakistan is that it's some little dirt road country, and they have a lot of, like, the fringes. It's near Afghanistan and stuff. But the actual, like, the capital and the big cities, like 80% of our pharmaceutical drugs are made in Pakistan. Like, these guys have a very educated workforce, very high-end stuff. They've got infrastructure in place. Like, my stuff gets on the truck, goes on the truck, from Lahore, the capital. It goes to I can't remember the name of the port city. The port city. They put it in a queue. It goes on a boat. You know, the boat makes like 20 stops along the way, and I'm watching the boat. I don't know if anybody else. Do you guys do this? Is you get to the name of the ship and you watch the ship on the little map and where it goes? Do you guys do that? That is so much fun.
No, I've never done that before,
No,
but it sounds like
if
fun.
you look up the name of the ship, there's these websites that actually track the ship for you, right? So sometimes when I'm out of stock, I'll be off the ship. I'm like, why is the ship stopped? Dude, come on, get
Oh
going.
man. Oh no, I don't know that I need that in my life right now. Like I shipped something from China January 20th, I think it left, and I'm still waiting.
No,
It's
look
so
up the ship.
frustrating. Oh no,
And there's
I
a little
can't.
lady is the ship.
It's probably like sitting in port for a month now, because there's so many delays. So speaking of that, because I want to ask you about duties and stuff, because we had this comment here from Aditya that says, when we source from outside, it just becomes too expensive. I'm guessing you're sourcing from Pakistan. With the customs duty on top of what we already have, the Amazon referral fee, closing fee, shipping and packing fee. Yep, that makes sense. And then Ali says, small home-based industries are pretty good at providing limited quantities, including handicrafts. So you can source small quantities, which is another benefit of sourcing from countries like Pakistan and the like, right? Because you can source small things. So definitely check those out depending on what it is that you're sourcing. So the question I have for you is, you mentioned in your post, and this was like made my ears perk up. I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute." You said you don't pay the kind of tariffs that we pay coming from China, the 25% tariffs. So talk to us about that. Like, how do you, first of all, do you just contact any old freight forwarder? What about inspections and quality control? Let's talk through inspections, quality control, and then let's talk through some importing and import duties and stuff. So maybe we start with quality control, because that's like the next step in the process, right? So normally before my products leave, I leave the country, leave the factory, I get them inspected to AQL standards. So what do you do, Miro? How do you get your stuff inspected, and how do you find inspectors in places like Pakistan?
Mostly, I think positive. Um, because Pakistan has a very mature pharmaceutical industry. That type of manufacturing is very closely regulated within Pakistan. They have good manufacturing practices, and the government has a very strong interest in making sure that everything is safe and proper as it should be, right?
Right.
So inspection isn't really a thing that I do. I just don't feel it's necessary, right? I've got a good trust of my supplier, and so far everything's just been like, I've never. I think out of like, I'm going to say millions of units, I've had maybe one or two where the seal was broken in transport. Like, it really has been, the quality has just been spectacular, right? So I haven't worried about quality. The next thing is the tariffs. Because of the political situation, the U.S. has a lot of presence militarily in Pakistan, right? So I guess in order to butter up the government, they provide like a preferred trade status to it. So depending on what you're bringing in, generally the tariffs are either nothing or they're very nominal. We used to be in a different category, and my tariffs would be like maybe $1,000 on a $40,000 order, and now I think they're down to a couple $100. It's incidental to the cost of the product.
Wow. Wow. Well, we have a lot of comments over here in the feed. Like, everybody's really having good conversations. Thank you, Tori. Hey, Justin, just saying hello. Hey, Raheel. Hey, Yusuf, Ali. Lots of great conversation here. So I love that, but either way, if you don't have to worry about inspection, that is nice. But if we're making something that's more like handicraft and that we want to a certain level, do you know if there are any inspection companies there? Maybe we just have to hit up the Googles for that.
I don't really have what do you call it, a resource for you there. my experience, like I've had some Pakistani VAs in the past that were not successful for me. Like anywhere else, you have your scammers and you have people that know what they're doing, right? And it's just a matter of like you can't take it personally. You're a business person. You hire people. You hire an employee. They suck. You hide the body. You got another one. If they suck, you hide that body, and then eventually you find a good one. You keep them. It's the same kind of thing. Look, you're in business. You're a grown up. You find somebody. You try them out. If they're crappy, um, I would actually suggest, like, I have not done this yet, but I've got a plan in November. I'm actually going to go meet my suppliers in person, which is I'm kind of excited about doing that because we've been working together for so long. It's gonna be kind of cool. But I would say if you're going to buy any kind of quantity, get on a plane. I mean, there's flights from Miami to Islamabad for like $900. Get on a plane. Go look at the stuff yourself. Go look at the factory. Go see the people. Um, you know,
Yeah. I would
that
100% agree. Like, in terms of you also contracts, you can have contracts to somewhat protect yourself if you can't make it over there on a plane, but you can at least have a good relationship with your supplier. You can
yeah,
ask for pictures. You can
yeah,
communicate your requirements because most of the time, a failed inspection is due to a miscommunication of requirements or lack of communication of requirements. I can't tell you how many times people have gotten a sample or something from their supplier and they've been like, "Oh, this is a mess." And it's like, okay, well, did you expect them to read your mind or did you give them a quality spec document and did you communicate your requirements back and forth? Did you have good conversations? I think most of it can be really, due to lack of communication. And so it's really all about those relationships and communication back and forth along the way. Don't be afraid to ask for a video of something close up or, of if you're concerned about the fabric stretching, have them stretch it for you. Like they want to make quality stuff for you. And if they have a problem with that, then that's a red flag. Would you say?
yeah, absolutely, Amy. And I think also it's important to have realistic expectations, right? If you say to someone, "Hey, I've got like this cell phone which is $800. I want you to make it for me for 200." No, that's not realistic, right? I mean, you got to adjust your expectations to the realm of reality. You're going to have to absolutely send me samples. I'll pay the DHL 2 day shipping, whatever it's $100. Send me a sample. Pull three off the line, put an envelope, and send it down. Let me have a look at it, right?
Yeah.
Um, I think there's a lot of opportunity there. Like the suppliers, and I'm going to generalize here a little bit. Like I grew up in Toronto, Canada, so I grew up with a lot of Pakistani friends and people that I knew, right? And like I said, I was somewhat familiar with the culture and kind of the attitude and the stuff, so didn't have a specific problem with it. But my suppliers have been like highest level of integrity, highest level of professionalism. Like I said, nothing but positive things to say about my relationship with them. And it's just a matter of finding people that you have that with, that you have that ability with.
That's
Like
awesome.
like we just changed our packaging for one of our products that they make, and they put like that thick cardboard with magnetic closure on there. And they called me up. They're like, we have this new packaging. We're excited about it. And I'm like, okay, what's the cost? It's an extra 50 cents. I'm like, do it. You sure? I'm like, yeah. Like 50 cents. This is something that I sell for $100, right? 50 cents. Knock yourselves out, guys. I'm cool.
Love that. Yeah. I mean, so it's so important. Like no matter where you're sourcing from, it's important to know your requirements. It's important to know what makes a good partner for you. It's important to um, not pinch your supplier out of their last dime and really be a good customer, be a good partner, find the right partner for you. If you can't inspect it yourself, have that communication going. And then you mentioned packaging, explore white label opportunities, explore your opportunity to repackage something. Don't be afraid to use the internet. Oh my goodness, we've learned so many lessons here talking to you today. One more question for you. Importing. And you mentioned like the tariffs, the importing fees and everything are quite minimal. But how do you find, like, is it hard to find a freight forwarder? Obviously for China, they're very easy to find. But do you have any advice about shipping and finding shipping and importing and finding the right provider for that?
My suppliers, like when I started this, I didn't know anything like about this whole process, right? So my suppliers put this stuff on a boat for me. Here you go, right? They have a freight forwarder that they've worked with before. I've got a customs broker here in Orlando that I use, and the first couple times that I had stuff come in, we didn't have the paperwork done properly because we didn't know what the hell we were doing, right? So the FDA ended up holding my first shipment for like 3 months. It went back and forth, and then I learned along the way how to do it. Like one thing I'll tell people is, when you start this journey, you're gonna screw up, you're gonna fail, you're gonna do stuff, and that's how you learn, right? Once you figure it out, like we talk about, I talk about how I have to re-educate our FDA inspector every year. They give us a new one, right? I have like this 30-page email with charts and graphs and links to different websites and the FDA website and their own stuff. This is all together, right? So the first time I did it, it took me like a month to put this crap together, but now it's done. So now when we get the FDA stuff going, here's your email, here's your references, here's who you talk to. The chief FDA inspector for the state of Florida, lady's on a first name basis with me. I call her up. I'm like, I know a bit of Spanish because my wife is Mexican, right? So the lady's Spanish. I'm talking, hola, ¿qué paso? Throw my 10 words of Spanish at her. You got to kiss a little ass sometimes, and you do that. You figure it out.
Right, right. So I love that. You figure it out every step of the way. I'll never forget my first time finding a freight forwarder. I was like, just thinking, this can't be so hard. I don't trust just somebody in a Facebook group sending me a message. I want to find a legitimate business. So I hit up the Googles. I looked at websites. I made some phone calls. I did some interviews. And I found Brownstone International here in the US. They're also a licensed customs broker. And they were so nice. And they took the time to really explain everything to me and educate me. And I've trusted them ever since then. And they've been, my trusted freight forwarder for any country, really. They're really good at doing importing and exporting. But I think that's the bottom line is, and this has been a constant theme throughout this interview with you, Miro, is just like, there's nothing wrong with learning. You're going to make mistakes. And it's just good business to have conversations, figure things out, find good partners, and source from the places that are best for you and best for your customers, right?
Well, I've got a lot of my friends kind of see what I'm doing in my business and they want to get into it. I've gotten a few of my friends into it. And what I do now is I use a couple of these coaches that help guide me and get me going. So now I just tell people, look, you want to do this business, hire these coaches and they'll drag you through it and they'll take you through it step by step because I don't have the attention span for it, right? And but what's really cool is I got a friend of mine. He's a big guy, not the sharpest tool in the shed, but the guy's like 100% foot on the gas, right? And he runs into the wall sometimes, but he gets ahead and he makes money because he's doing stuff. And I think that's the biggest flaw, I guess, in our modern society is we have too much information. And we're like, maybe I should source from here. Maybe I should source from here. You know what? Whether you're sourcing from China or Pakistan or something, just get started. Like, do some baby steps. Like, it's funny because I have an Airbnb that I rent out and I buy tons of towels because people steal towels like crazy, right? I've bought towels from 4 different suppliers. It's the same towels made in Pakistan. 4 different guys selling them.
Oh my gosh. Yes. You never know, but as long as it's good pricing and good opportunities. Hey, I just want to say hi to Justin and say hi to Cy. Simon's here. And then we have that, some more info here, where Ali is saying that pharmaceutical bulk exports are massive along with agricultural products and the famous pink Himalayan salt. I love pink salt.
Oh, so do I. It's great stuff. Well, I can tell you guys a salt story. I'm in Big Lots. I love Big Lots. And they have these giant glass jars of Himalayan sea salts for like the pink salt for like $3. and I was like, I'd buy it off the shelves and resell it because it was like $40 for the salt in this giant, beautiful glass decanter thing. I'm like, wow, this is gorgeous. And it was one of these export to buy, and I called the company like, yeah, they said we just bought they bought like 5 containers that are from Pakistan. They got a crazy deal on them, right? But I'm like, I was so sell this thing. Like just the glass decanter had to be worth like would retail for like 40, $50. It was beautiful.
And you found it at Big Lots.
I
There's
bought
so,
like 10 of them.
there's so many sourcing opportunities right in front of our eyes that we don't even realize. And I think a lot of people just don't even realize the potential to repackage something, rebrand it, make it their own, just like you've done. And, you could take that giant thing of salt, repackage it, make it amazing,
I gotta tell you something, Amy. Our journey, we were on our probably sixth complete label and packaging redesign. We've gone from little tiny plastic bottles with like a white printed label to a foil printed label we printed on our inkjet printers, and now we're in glass bottles, high quality glass bottles with this like $10,000 laser printer that prints like 3,000 DPI, like photograph quality, and the packaging is so much more important than you think it is. Whatever you think, like each time we've changed our packaging, our sales have doubled. Like each
Oh,
time,
yeah.
it's so ridiculous that that you're thinking, oh, I got like you can laugh at this. When I first started selling on, someone said, hey, you should sell on Amazon. Here's my answer: I don't want to pollute my brand by selling online. Like, what a dumbass! If I had gotten into it back then, I'd be in private jet money right now. Like, oh my god.
You're still gonna get there, Miro. You're gonna get there, and then I want to ride. Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes, locking that in. You guys heard it. You heard it. He said it. Um, so I would love to ask you before we get off here. You have really had some experience creating your own packaging, and you said you bought your own printers for packaging and stuff. And I've actually, my cat litter box cleaner that's made in the U.S. I had to get my packaging from the U.S. and I actually started outsourcing my packaging to China because they do a better job and it's actually much better price. And my prices here for packaging at some of the packaging manufacturers were just ridiculous. So like, for example, my full color box that I just like redid for retail packaging has a window in it. It's full color. It has like 4 different colors on the outside of the box. It's a big box, right? That my supplier here, my packaging supplier here quoted me like $3 a box for. And I was like, man, that just doesn't seem right. And I contacted James at Pactipus in China. I met him. He's actually from Boston and he moved to China and started his own packaging company. And I ended up paying 83 cents a box and he shipped it anywhere in China free for me. And I just threw it on out with one of my shipments that was coming out from another supplier. And so it worked out just fine. But for those people that are wanting to take advantage of packaging here in the US and I see that all the time. People want to get started and I tell them, I'm like, hey, just go get some boxes, get really professional full color stickers printed and just start. So what advice do you have for folks that are wanting to do some packaging in the US and, good providers and how do they get started in packaging in the US?
Most places have a paper supplier. Like I used to use a standard corrugated cardboard box. All my stuff is little, right? I have a couple things that are bigger, but most of my stuff is little. So printing stickers is expensive, especially in smaller quantity because it's so much work, right? So my suggestion is always, in the online world, I tell people who's getting into it, your opinion doesn't matter. Your thoughts don't matter. You test. The market will tell you what it wants. My top 10 selling products, never in a million years would I have picked them to be the top selling products. The top 10 selling products are completely different on Amazon than they are on Walmart, than they are on Shopify. Like it's a different world, right? So I'm going to say, you know what? You got a product, do something quick and dirty. I don't care if you're paying $10 a box. See what works. Then once you have it working, then you go back and you do it. Like, actually, I wouldn't mind that supplier name for you from China, because what we're doing right now is we're doing a generic box and we're doing a sticker a full color sticker around the generic box. So I wouldn't mind a generic box supplier. So I'm interested in that contact. If you don't mind sharing that with me,
Yes,
I'd appreciate that.
absolutely. Yes, I will
Um,
send it to you.
yeah, I went out and bought myself this. Like I tried 10 different things. I bought myself this Affinia label printer, and it's like these big commercial printers are kind of a pain in the butt. Like certain things work better than other things, and I finally got it dialed in where if I use a glossy paper label, not the Bebop, right, I get this amazing result. It'll print like 10,000 labels at a time, no issues, and it costs money, but I'm able to pivot so quickly and also build in one thing. Like I'm a creative guy, I like to jump around and do stuff. You really got to build your processes, right? Once your sales start coming up, you got to say, look, before we'd repackage stuff, I'd say, hey, look, make 20 of these. Then I'd print the labels, then I'd print the barcodes, then we do this stuff. And now when I go to my production team, I give them like a tray. The tray has labels, barcodes, recipe, what we need, and the shipping label of final boxes. So changing that on the front end really saved me a lot of headache because, you know, in anything, your printer goes down, you're out of ink, the computer crashes. We had a print, like stuff happens. So this way, if you're ahead of the game and everything, there's no more bottlenecks.
Yes, I love that. That's so smart. So I'm going to put my packaging supplier on the ticker for everyone so you can see it. Um, James is about to get a lot of business, and I already send him a lot of business because he's just a good guy and he takes good care of people, and he also does photography in China, so anybody who needs it. So my favorite packaging supplier in China is Pactypus, Packytypus, and the owner's James, and he is actually Chinese, but he lived in Boston, and he started his business there, and you guys can contact him, and he's really, really good. And Miro, of course, I'll follow up with you and give you his contact personally, so you have it.
One more thing I'm going to throw out here. Again, people in America aren't really that, like, I travel a lot and I kind of grew up internationally, so I understand this a little better. When you call Pakistan, everybody in Pakistan is educated in English. Every single person there speaks English. Like,
that's good to know.
Like everything, it's some kind of crazy foreign country. No, they can all speak English there. I mean, depending on where they are, they may have an accent you're not familiar with, but you can communicate in writing and very well with people, and that's a plus because like I've been trying to get in the German market, and the Germans, God love them, but it's you speak German or screw you, like they don't care. Like like I had one guy talked to one guy. I'm trying to get some custom stuff done there to bring my products in there. He goes, look, you know what? He goes, tell you what. I go, what? He goes, call me back when you learn German. And he hung up on me.
No, are you serious?
I'm like, you ugly son of a bitch. I was so mad.
I lived in Germany for a while when I was in the military, and I just want to include this here. Humzuk says, I'm totally messing up that name, by the way. You guys have to teach me. For textile, sports, salt, spices, pharmaceutical products, huge sourcing potential. Thanks to Tim for exploring. Hope this encourages other as well. Awesome. Yes, Sai says he's got to fly. Thanks for the nuggets. Well, thank you guys for being here today. You've taught us so much, Miro, and this has been a great conversation today, and I thank you so much. All right, one final piece of advice, Miro, that you have for everybody. Give everyone a nugget of business advice. So people just considering getting started, what's your best piece of advice?
Be courageous and just like close your eyes and run blindly forward. Over my career, I've had some ups and downs in business, and after you get burned a few times, you kind of, you get your heart broken and you don't want to do it anymore. You get a little more cautious with it. And I'm going to say, absolutely do not tread carefully. Do not, just go full out, because what happens is we're in a market that's exploding. It's still exploding. And if you miss out, you're gonna be really upset. And just try. It's okay to fail. It's okay to lose money. It's okay to screw up. Right? Just hide the bodies and move on.
I like it. Yes, fail fast. Keep going. Just do it. Don't don't sit and wait forever, right? Just get moving. Well, Miro, thank you so much. I know everybody learned so much, and people are going to start exploring Pakistan for, for some sourcing opportunities, and then also exploring some packaging opportunities elsewhere as well. So I think you opened a lot of people's eyes today, including mine. I thank you so much for your friendship and for your support and for sharing your story with our community. And thanks everybody for being here, and we'll see you next time. And bye. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks for your time today.